Welcome back to the party package. My name is Owen. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the savior of entertainment and the prophet of the Boston Bruins season preview. I'm going through the teams in this thing, and the Bruins are the first team and only the third team, and I cannot figure out a funny skit to do at the beginning of this one. If I could, I would. I can't think of anything. I've been thinking all day. Nothing's coming to mind other than some sort of stupid joke about your cousin from Boston, stupid dad, with your stupid accents and whatever. If you're from Boston, you sound stupid. So anyways, I'm here to talk about the Bruins. Now, the Bruins are a team that have pretty much held an identity for a while until this year, or last year. The Bruins, I don't want to say have gone soft, but they're not really who they are anymore. They used to be the team that was hard, that they were the grindy but good team. And they've kind of lost that attitude in the last few years. And this is the first year in a long time that I'm actually worried about where the Bruins could end up this year. So, of course, there's some questions around the team, such as the main question, Bergeron. Marchand is injured right now. I don't know. I was looking it up. I can't find anything. I don't know if he's going to be back by the beginning of the season or not. He did hip surgery, which ended Rask's career, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Bergeron hasn't been decided yet, but, I mean, of course, he would slid right in. So, this team right now, let's just assume Bergeron comes back and we slide down the centers by one, right? So Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak, of course, already the superstar, one of the best lines in the league. If he comes back. If he doesn't, and let's say he doesn't, Marchand, Coyle, Pastrnak, right? Is that a good line? I think it's a passable line. I feel like Coyle kind of fills in that Bergeron role where he's the tough. He's not the flashy guy. He's the get stuff done, get the job done, put on the penalty kill guy. And Coyle kind of will fill in that position. He'll fill it in, but he's not going to run away with the position, right? So he's a good replacement for him. And besides, Marchand and Pastrnak, without Bergeron, will be amazing regardless if they have Bergeron or not. Second line, let's say it starts without Bergeron. We got Zacha or Coyle, Hall and DeBrusk. Hall and DeBrusk as wingers are going to be a really good tandem there. I feel like DeBrusk has I'm going to go over a video doing the drafts and like how things could be different in the last, let's say, 10 years. But this DeBrusk may finally shine, maybe not. Maybe you put Smith here instead of DeBrusk. You could even put in Foligno. But DeBrusk is the younger guy that has skill, but he just can't really elevate his game to play NHL level. Him between Zacha or Coyle it'll be a decent enough second line for the Bruins. And then the third, this team on offensive-wise, other than the bottom line, but I feel like they could put together some young guys or they could pick some people up. I'm sure they could figure out a bottom line. I mean, Wagner's a big guy. He's a grinder type. And they got some interesting players to play around with, and they also have some guys in the AHL. They could sign some people. They could bring in just one or two guys to fill in the final four, or maybe in the bottom six. The bottom six they could fill out a little bit more, but relatively okay. This is a decent enough offense to carry a team, especially if you add Bergeron to the lineup and everything kind of changes from there. Defense, however, I would say the Bruins are suffering from what I like to call, I can't remember basically the two defensemen syndrome, where they have two great defensemen and that's it. They have two great players. McAvoy is amazing. Hampus Lindholm from the Anaheim Ducks, who they traded for last season, was their pickup at the trade deadline, who was to fill out their defense. The problem is that the rest of this team of the offense, if Grishalik was to put back in here, which for some reason they have him scratched, he's not really in. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. But this team with a Grishalik, I mean, it's kind of it's the same. This is the exact same type of team we saw last season. We got basically just the tough defense. This is defense. This isn't offense. This isn't well-rounded defense. This is a defensive straight team. This is not a team that's looking to play any sort of fancy hockey. This is a straight and forward team, a defense team here. And then on goaltending, Swayman and Olmark's pretty good tandem. That's a pretty good tandem. Not really a lot of veteran experience. I mean, I guess depending on how you think about Olmark, not any sort of legitimate goaltender here. But you got two younger guys that played pretty well last season for them. So overall, this team is pretty well built. But I think we kind of suffer from the idea of like the Blackhawks and the Kings from a couple years ago, where it's like, and the Sharks, where it's like, man, these guys are good. They're the Bruins. But here's the thing. This team has slowly over the years, they've done good replacing players, but I think this is finally going to be the year that the Bruins are going to be saddled back into are going to be taken aback. They're going to be fine. This is going to be the year, and I played the Bruins was the first time I ever played for. Not that really means anything, but this is going to be the first year that I think the Bruins are going to finally be pushed back a level. After all this year of the decade of domination, really, this is going to be the first year where they're going to be finally pushed to the back. Maybe not the back, but like pushed back, and really see what the future is going to be and what they're going to decide to do. The Bruins this year, I think last year they were going to be fine. But this year, with maybe the loss of Bergeron, I hate saying like the guys are getting a little older because Marchand's definitely not slowing down. In fact, he's getting better. Pasternak's not slowing down. Bergeron, if he comes back, I'm sure he's not as good, but I'm sure he's still capable. But this team is going to finally have a lot of competition for that fifth place spot in the Atlantic. This team right now is going to have a very tough time sticking up with the likes of a brand new Detroit Red Wings team they've added so much talent there. They've drafted really well. They've got so much potential now. The Red Wings and now the Senators making a lot of moves. Right now, they've got two other teams that I dare say the Red Wings this upcoming season are at least equal to this team right here. Looking at it all over on maybe goaltending not so much, maybe not entirely on offense, but especially defensively. They've got enough offensive young talent to maybe you got Zadina, Veleno, you got Larkin, Bertuzzi, you've got Verana. Now you've also added Perron and Kubalik. I would much rather have that than Pasternak and Marchand, out of all the players that I'm about to list, are the best players to name. But other than that, Coyle, Hall, Zacha, DeBrusk, Foligno, I right now would rather go in. I don't know. I feel like Red Wings' well-rounded nature is going to be equal to the Bruins' top line up front. Because I think the Red Wings are going to be a lot better built through the lineup. So, sure, this line is going to dominate whatever line they're out there against. But all these other lines are going to have a tough time playing against the Red Wings' well-rounded team. I would say the Red Wings right now, their first line is as good as their well, you know what I'm trying to say. They're well-rounded, and it's going to be very tough for them to get in that. So I think the Red Wings probably snipe the fourth spot this upcoming year after the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Maple Leafs. I think the Red Wings are going to be challenging the Bruins and the Senators for that fourth and fifth spot. And then also, not to add on to the injury, is that in the Metropolitan Division now, you've also got enough guys where they're going to try to steal that's one of the two wild card spots. So my question keeps always going into these is, what is the expectations for this season? The Bruins' expectations are to probably make it to the playoffs. But I don't know. I think this team is going to have a hard challenge to make it into the playoffs. They're going to have to play really hard. and especially if they don't get Bergeron. But this team could make a couple moves. The problem is I don't know who they would move out to get better. I would see this team at the trade deadline going out for some players to try to boost. Defensively, they need some. I mean, Greshalik is the perfect offensive guy. Lindholm's a fast guy, but they need some speed to this game. They need some either more speed or more. They need to lean more into one of the directions. Right now, this team is a pretty solidly built team, but it's not a killer team. You know what I mean? This isn't the team that's going to strike down the Tampa Bay Lightning if they face them in the second or first round, you know? This isn't a team that's going to strike down the certain teams. This team is this is a hopeful team. And I don't really, if they don't get Bergeron, I think if they don't go get Bergeron and then they don't try to get a first line center, I mean, what if they go for Kadri? Then Kadri goes in the middle. Who knows? Because Kadri's still out there at the time of making this. That's a possibility that I have just thought of right now. You mean Marchand, Kadri, and Pastrnak, that could work as their top line. I could see that. MKP, PKM, whatever you want to call it. That could work as their top guy. They need someone to fill in that first line center role because it's definitely not Coyle. In the middle, they're pretty weak. If they get Bergeron, I would say Bergeron, Coyle's pretty good, but Zacha, Nosek, or Studnicka is kind of weak down the middle. And they're pretty well actually built on the winger side, but center and defense is definitely where they're going to need some better help. They're going to need that extra oomph. They could definitely go after someone at the trade deadline or throughout the year, but if they don't get Bergeron, this team is going to be interesting, and this might be the final year where this is the team that we see. Maybe this year, who knows? Maybe they're not very good. They miss the playoffs, and things have to get shifted around. Time for the reboot. But how do you go through a reboot when you got Pastrnak, who is that young, great guy, but you got also Marchand and Bergeron, who are on at the near, especially Bergeron, nearer to the end of their career. So what do you do when you have that situation? You got McAvoy and Pastrnak, and Marchand's not old or anything, but what happens when you got this team of guys and Hall, and they don't win? I don't know. And it's unfortunate for them too. It's unfortunate for every team in this Atlantic Division and really the Metro, because if this team was in the Pacific, I could easily see this team making it either maybe first or at least second place, but they're stuck in a hard division. So do they make it? So do I think they'll make it to the playoffs this year? I think if they do make it to the playoffs this year, this is going to be the final time they make it to the playoffs, because this team is going to have a very tough time getting there, and they're not going to go far. I would be very surprised if they go far. But what could they do to get better? I don't know. I mean, they need a first-line center, so you could sign Kadri. But if other than signing someone, you trade for somebody, I could see them moving one of their two good young goaltenders. But goaltenders don't go for very much, so I don't really know where this team doesn't have a lot to trade away. I mean, what are you going to trade away? You're going to trade away Marchand, Hall, or Pastrnak? I mean, there's no physical idea where I could see them trading away to get better, because I don't know what they could trade away. Because if you're this team, you don't want to trade away like a first-round pick, because if this is the end of this team's hopeful runs of winning things, then you don't want to trade around your first-round picks, because then that's your future going away. Unless you trade for a young guy, which it's going to be kind of hard to do. So it's going to be interesting. Do they make the playoffs? To be honest, I don't think so. I think with the help of the Senators and the help of the Red Wings, including the missing of Bergeron, I think this is going to be a very tough time for the Boston Bruins to make it to the playoffs. And I expect them to finish right outside of it, and it's going to leave them very confused on what to do with the future. Do they trade for the future and they get rid of someone like Marchand and try to get some picks or a younger player? Do they try to keep going with what they have? And I don't know where they go with this. I don't know where you go with a team that's going to maybe finish right outside the playoffs, and it's near the end of I mean, they have. I mean, Marchand, Hall, and Pasternak are not old by any. I mean, just Hall. I mean, Marchand's not old by any means. I think he's 33 or 4. He's not old. And Pasternak are definitely not old. But they have no other players here. You know what I mean? Like, this whole section of, like, Tetris pieces of players are nobodies that they're going to filter out throughout the year. They need something. They need to fill in this top role. They need to fill in the top 6 with somebody. They need to get a number 1 center and also a stronger pick for second. Coyle can be the second line center, but they need a better pick for DeBrusk, or DeBrusk to actually step it up and play the way that they drafted him, hoping he would. Other than that, I would say the bottom 6 is pretty strong, and they need to get some sort of invigoration for this, especially like Mike Riley. Forbor and Clifton and Carlo I like because they're all big, strong guys, but I feel like they need one more guy to really... Grishalik instead of Riley for that speed, and maybe move Forbor or Clifton and get in another faster player. But I know the Bruins like to be the Beantown Bruisers, so I don't know. I don't know where this team really goes next season. I think they're going to finish right outside the playoffs, or they finish right outside the playoffs, or... I don't know who they could buy into. Kadri would be my pick for them to try to pick up. Kadri would be a huge steal for them. I'm not actually entirely sure of their cap space, so I don't think they're possible of doing that. But it's going to be interesting to say the least for the Bruins. So I guess that's really all I have to say about them for right now is that. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. It's the one that is red. It says subscribe. When you click, there's going to be a little ding bell that pops up next to it. You're going to want to click on that to get future notifications. I almost knocked over my hockey stick, which, by the way, this is a hockey stick that holds up everything. If you enjoyed watching this video, leave a like, not a dislike, but you can go down below to the comment section and leave a comment, concern, suggestion, review, feedback, or any sorts of opinions, rants, tangents, or other sorts of words you'd like to leave behind for me to see and read. And tell me, what do you think of the Boston Bruins' upcoming season? Do you see them being a contender, or do you see them maybe starting to falter and maybe have to move on from some play? But I don't know who they'd move on from. So I don't know. You tell me what you see happening. But if you liked it, I hope you did. Till next time, I have been the party, Owen, Jordan. And I guess till next time, ta-ta for now.